guys, so for my week 3 video, I'm going to be talking about my experience in Canton Middle School and High School this past Tuesday. Unfortunately, there was an early dismissal due to the anticipated severity of the winter storm that would be hitting St. Lawrence County, so there was an early dismissal at 12:30 p.m. So my day was shortened, but of course, as I'm sure all of you have begun to understand, that it's never a dull moment in the counseling world and school counseling. There's always stuff to do and always stuff going on, so it was definitely still a busy day. So that was good. But so pretty much, my day started out with Michelle Applenap in the middle school, and we were just kind of talking about different students that maybe I could start meeting with on my own. So her and Kirsten have kind of tried to begin this process of figuring out, like, similar to what, me just talking with Michelle, but figuring out students that I can meet with on my own for my case study and also just for my own, experience, and kind of, getting used to meeting with students by myself and, how to handle those situations and everything, since I have been meeting with students but with them. So, Michelle decided that there's this one 8th grade girl that she thinks, would be great for me to meet with. She is very open, so that's good. She's definitely more, she's pretty personable in that sense, about all of her struggles. Like, she's personal, but she's open about her struggles and things that she's gone through, and apparently, she's pretty much everything under the sun, she's struggled with or been through. So, she's been in and out of the foster care system, so she's with a foster family now. She's had issues on and off before with lice. She's been sexually abused, and she's very open about that, and because of a lot of those things, she's had, some mental health issues, and there's a few other things that, have gone on in her life, but those were kind of the main ones. And so, Michelle thought this might be a good girl for me to, start meeting with, since she is pretty open and, she has kind of been through a lot. So to kind of start to gain that sense of, meeting with students one-on-one and, being able to just, like I said, kind of build that rapport and build, those genuine connections and meaningful relationships, and just try to, help these students like I said, I'll only be there Tuesdays, but at least, for some time on a Tuesday, just kind of, be there to talk and help her kind of whatever, through whatever is going on that day, or even if nothing's going on, just, be another person that's there that, genuinely is there to listen to her attentively, and, give her the time of day and, just be there to talk with her. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'll be starting that most likely the next week, so not this week since we, it's winter break, but that next week we're back. So I'm really looking forward to finally being able to meet with a student on my own. So that should be exciting, and I look forward to keeping you guys updated with that. Next then, just pretty much with Kirsten in the high school, finishing up the juniors' final scheduling for senior year. Just similar to what I mentioned last week, it's just always interesting to see the different routes that students go, and I'm always just very intrigued and happy about the BOCES programs, and how I feel like, when I was in high school, there's definitely, I didn't know much about it anyway, but I felt like there was a stigma to it where, certain, maybe like, lower cognitive students went to BOCES, or was students with disabilities, and I really genuinely, we had no idea about it. So from really just shadowing last semester and doing a practicum in the school and seeing how great BOCES is and how many amazing programs there are and how, specialized they are to help students who, even whether or not they excel in a classroom setting, it's just a matter of, them having an interest and a passion and skills for, these other areas. And, that's pretty awesome that they get the opportunity to go to BOCES, for half the day junior year and half the senior year, if there's an area of interest for them that, they want to take right into the workforce after high school. So it's like really great to see, and I'm, kind of glad that my eyes were opened in that way, and, I see BOCES in a whole new light, and I think it's really great for students, like I said, who have those skills. Like, there was one junior guy who came in, he's dead set on going into forestry once he graduates, and he knows that there's a program he kind of wants to do right afterwards, and then from that leads right into pretty much the workforce, and you can just see his face lighting up, and he just genuinely loves it. And it's so cool that there's literally a program for him to do that, you know? And I also think, too, it gives a lot of kids, like, you know, ninth graders, 10th graders, you know, that sense of hope where it's like, you know, maybe they aren't as interested in a typical classroom setting, or they aren't interested in biology and chemistry, but having the option of BOCES to go into, you know, cosmetology, allied health, forestry, welding, you know, automatic, you know, automotives, culinary, literally any of those or any of the other programs, you know, it gives them something to look forward to and something that they are passionate about and love. And I think it's awesome. I think both these programs are great. And it's just cool to see how many students, you know, at Canton really participate in BOCES programs. And it's exciting to see how excited they are about their programs, you know, where that can, you know, help lead them, you know, and open doors for them right after high school to go into the working world, or some of them who are in allied health to go into nursing programs and, you know, kind of figuring out their future. So it's pretty cool to see. And, you know, I've just been really fortunate that I've been able to learn a lot more about the BOCES programs. You know, from student scheduling even this semester, to hear about their kind of backstories and like what they're interested in and why, to even last semester when I went on a field trip to BOCES with 8th graders, actually, to see about, you know, BOCES programs and what those entail for down the road, if that's something they, you know, might want to be interested in and start to think about. It's great programs. So it's always cool learning more and more about those, you know, every time I'm at the school. And then next, me, Kirsten, and Lindsay's the other high school counselor, discussed more about my stress management presentation, which I talked to you guys a bit about last week. There's still no concrete plan, but the whole goal of this past Tuesday was just for Lindsay and Kirsten to kind of make their game plan of setting the foundation and what, you know, setting the stage for what they want out of me big picture, and then allowing me to kind of just run with it and research some stuff and figure some things out, and just after break come back with a game plan of what I want to do. So that was a cool meeting, you know, to see like Lindsay and Kirsten collaborate to discuss kind of what they want out of this meeting. You know, they definitely want something interactive, so we all kind of talked about maybe the potential activity of progressive relaxation, maybe doing a stress ball, a few other things. I'm going to try to research some more stuff. And then also doing like 1 or 2 5 to 10 minute videos. So of course there's always a bunch of TED Talks. I'm going to try to research some to look up those, maybe some other videos. And then Lindsay and Kirsten also mentioned Brene Brown, who is a research professor at University of Houston, in like the social work graduate program there. And she is really big on courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy. So those are like 4 of the main things that she researches. And so she's pretty cool. I hadn't heard about her, but I looked her up since both Kirsten and Lindsay mentioned her name, and she might be someone, you know, good to look for some of her videos or clips to use for their stress management presentation. And, you know, it's just awesome to see how, you know, she's really big on students, you know, being vulnerable and not being afraid to show their vulnerability, and that in order to, you know, become courageous, you need to be able to show your vulnerability. And I think a lot of students, especially nowadays, have trouble with that. You know, even with social media, like we kind of discussed that, just feeling like you always have to look happy, like everything's great, and that, you know, you're living your best life. So I think a lot of students nowadays, more than ever, have trouble being vulnerable and showing that, you know, they're maybe not at their best and that they are struggling. But, you know, it's like, so Brene kind of goes on just to talk about how it's tough to be courageous if you're not willing to be vulnerable first. So that was interesting. So I'm gonna look more into that, and that might be some good, a good topic within stress management to kind of just harp on in the stress management presentation. So we'll see how that goes. And then just also too, just, you know, tools to use in the moment. So, you know, when students are at school, I'm going to start to, you know, figure out maybe what might be some good tools that they can use. You know, if they are all of a sudden they're in Spanish class and they're just getting really stressed or feel like panicky, or, you know, what can they do to get back to just at least functioning enough to not let their stress overwhelm them to the point of, you know, panic attacks, maladaptive behavior, and other things, you know, in that realm. So I'm going to research some of that, and then just also too some self-care activities. So this is just more of an upkeep piece. So I think it was helpful from issues and ethics last semester. Each person in the class did a self-care activity, so that's going to be helpful. I have a lot in my toolbox now to look back on from a lot of the other self-care activities that students brought in that they like to do. So I'm definitely going to think through some of those, and the one that I said as well, and see if maybe that might be something worth mentioning in the stress management. And then also, just to even hear from the students, but just to kind of harp on, students finding a good self-care activity, whether it's daily, weekly, just something that can help them positively, manage their stress and try to stay on track, and stay, as positive and healthy as they can, because that's the biggest part. It's not always about managing that one moment. It's how can we, keep this going as like a, daily, weekly, monthly thing. How can you kind of figure out those, like the upkeep piece is important. So I look forward to keeping you guys posted with that as I do some more research this week and kind of finalize my stress management presentation plan. And then lastly, Kirsten and I talked about this one junior girl who, since the day was shortened, she wasn't able to come in because we found out, of course, classically at the end of the day. But so apparently this girl who's a junior, she's failing with a 38 in one of her classes. She had a 42 the first semester and a 34 the second semester, or sorry, first quarter and second quarter. So she has, and that's in math. She's in Regents algebra right now. I believe it's Regents algebra. And pretty much Kirsten has, tried to talk to the aunt. So this girl has, long story short, interesting backstory. She has two parents. They're both still alive. But the student lives with her aunt. Apparently the mom's always been kind of extremely low cognitive functioning, has had some mental health issues, has had some substance issues, and is just pretty much can barely take care of herself, so can't take care of another human being. And so the dad, I guess, is like in and out of the picture. But so, they felt like it was best for the aunt to take care of, their daughter. So the aunt is primary care of this student. So she lives with her aunt, but the aunt wants her to get a Regents diploma and thinks that she can do this and it's fine and keep her in the class. Don't put her in non-Regents math. But it's come to the point now where, like I said, she has a 38. It's pretty much not salvageable. So, what Kirsten suggested is that, so she called the aunt, talked to the aunt, saying that, the best case scenario for, this student is to go into non-Regents math. Because on top of this, it usually was just math that was an issue, but now all of a sudden, second quarter, she started failing 3 other classes, which is terrible, and not good for her. And so it's looking like there's a good chance she'd have to go to summer school for some things, but if she ends up staying in Regents math and fails that, she has the option to take that again in for next year, because she can only take, I believe it's 2 classes over the summer, and so then she can only take, so if she ends up failing English, she ends up failing global, and if she ends up failing math, she can only take 2 of those. But so, if she were to fail the Regents math, for her to take that next year, it's likely, like, she's failing that low, she just doesn't get the content, she's not going to pass it again. So pretty much Kirsten just talked with the aunt to discuss options, and finally the aunt, agreed, let's put her in an AIS during the day, let's hope that works, and then from there, give it like another week or 2, the aunt's going to talk to the girl, like another week, give her the break, and then, see if moving her into non-Regents is probably going to be the best decision. And so the aunt now seems a bit more on board, knowing full picture, really the extent of this. So I'm interested to kind of see how this kind of pans out, and I'll keep you guys posted with this one, because I'm curious to see, because this is something where it seems like senior is far away, but what she does now could really make or break her graduating. next year. So we'll see what happens.